Everyone is asking the wrong question about AI. The question everyone is asking is, what will I do for work? That's understandable. It's urgent. But it's the wrong question. And staying stuck on it will cause you to miss the most important economic opportunity in human history. I'm not an AI expert. I'm a philosopher and presence coach. I spent over 6 decades studying what makes human beings genuinely fulfilled. Not just productive, not just employed, but deeply satisfied on the level of what they are. What I see happening right now, the experts aren't talking about. Here's what they're missing. Let's be honest about what's coming and what's already here. AI is the largest productivity booster in human history. Not the largest since the Industrial Revolution or the printing press, the largest ever. And unlike previous technological revolutions, this one doesn't just replace physical labor, it replaces cognitive labor, legal research, medical diagnoses, financial analysis, teaching, writing, coding. These displacements aren't coming in 5 or 10 years, they're happening now. Most economists are still saying what they're saying during every previous technological shift. Quote, new jobs will replace the old ones, don't worry, end quote. Some of the most respected minds in the field, people who have studied this for decades, are no longer so sure that's true this time. The speed is different. The breadth is different. Add robotics to AI and physical labor follows. Capturing the power of fusion will give us all the energy we want. There are no clean economic answers yet. Costs of computing, energy, and robotics will fall sharply, which means general deflation is likely. Universal basic income is already being discussed, not as an idealistic fantasy, but as an obvious stopgap. Nobody knows exactly what the economy will be like in 5 years. That's not alarmism, that's honesty. It won't, though, look like it does today. And somewhere in the background is a risk serious enough to mention and then set aside when a tool becomes more intelligent than its creators. The question of who controls whom becomes genuinely open. That's worth one sentence of acknowledgement. And then moving forward, because panicking about it or trying to slow down the AI revolution would be useless. What we can do is what I'm about to describe. Now, if you feel a tightening in your chest during those last 2 minutes, good. It's information. Most people have never seriously considered financial independence, not because they're unambitious, but because economic survival has consumed most of their available attention. Having a job, raising a family, paying the mortgage, these are not small tasks. They are the primary structure of most human lives. And now that structure is being disrupted. The anxiety you feel about that is real. I'm not going to tell you to think positively or that everything will be fine. What I'm going to tell you is that the anxiety is pointing at something. And if you follow it carefully, it leads somewhere most people have never gone. It leads to the question underneath the job question. Not what will I do, but who or what am I when I'm not doing? Here's what the AI experts aren't saying, because it's not their domain. For most of human history, the vast majority of people never had the time, the freedom, or the social permission to ask that question seriously. Survival required incessant doing. Economic necessity filled the hours, and the hours filled the identity. People became what they did. That's about to change. For the first time in human history on a mass scale, human beings may be freed from the economic compulsion to produce. That is either a catastrophe or the greatest opportunity our species has ever had, which when it becomes depends on what we do with that freedom. Here's what we know from research and from centuries of wisdom traditions about what happens when people are suddenly freed from economic necessity. They take a few months off. They feel relief. And then, reliably, they return to contribution. Not because they have to, but because they discover that pure leisure without meaning is hollow. Lottery winners, early retirees, people who achieve financial independence at 40. The pattern is consistent. Ease without purpose produces a quiet desperation that leisure cannot fix. What they discover, usually without the language for it, is the difference between what I call success and fulfillment. Success is excellence in doing, building, earning, achieving, managing, thinking. It matters. It's real. However, it's temporal. Everything you build changes. Everything you earn can be lost. Every achievement fades. Everything gained will eventually be lost. Success in doing cannot by itself produce lasting satisfaction. It never has. It never will. Fulfillment is something else entirely. It's excellence in being. It's what happens when you stop identifying yourself exclusively with your doings, your roles, your productivity, your outputs, and discover what's present underneath all of that. The sages across every tradition, the Buddhists, the Christian mystics, the Stoics, the Vedanta teachers, all pointed at the same thing in different languages, that what you most fundamentally are is not your job, your story, your achievements, but something prior to all those, something stable, something that doesn't fluctuate with the market. The people who have realized that, and I've spent decades studying them, don't just cope with uncertainty, they live well inside it. Now, I want to be concrete, not abstract. In the short term, learning to use AI tools is genuinely valuable. There are people offering free courses on YouTube right now, and from AI companies themselves on how to use AI practically to increase your productivity, your options, your adaptability. That's worth your time. Search for AI literacy courses and you'll find excellent free resources. Learn what the tools can already do. That's real and useful. Preparing yourself will help undermine your anxiety. But that's the short game. The long game is this. Use the disruption as an invitation. If your job changes or disappears, don't just ask, what's the next job? Ask, who am I? What am I? When I'm not determined by what I produce, by what I do. That question, taken seriously, is the beginning of the most important journey a human being can take. For the first time in history, on a mass scale, there may actually be time to take it. I'm a philosopher, a lover of wisdom. I've spent 32 years teaching people how to think clearly, and the last several years teaching people how to dissolve the emotional suffering that blocks them from living well. I'm not here to tell you that AI isn't disruptive. It is, and it will continue to be. I'm here to tell you that that disruption is also an opening. The question isn't just, what will humans do when AI takes over most of the work? The real question is, what will humans realize? Will we use this opportunity to fulfill more of our potential? Maybe. It's possible. That's a genuinely good possibility. Staying as we are is not an option. Either we'll get better or we'll get worse. The task is to raise our level of consciousness. It's only attachment to inadequate ideas that obstructs a brighter future. In addition to my own books and coaching, there's a link in the description to a free list of teachers that you may find helpful. Continue your own investigation from wherever you are. Peace.